Yes, very good afternoon, students. Welcome back to online session. Today I am going to explain you the refractories from Unit 3. So in the Unit 3 we have the polymers, along with that we have the refractories. So let us see what is meant by the refractories. But before that, refractories are the engineering in organic materials, and refractories are the material which can withstand high temperature. So especially these are using in the construction industries to prepare the bricks and in the kilns, because these can withstand high temperature. So refractories are nothing but any material which can withstand at high temperature. Especially these are using in the construction of metallurgy, engineering and chemical industries. So where we are using the refractories especially using in the metallurgy, that means in the construction of the metals or in the extraction of the metals, and in the engineering and in the chemical industries. So let us see the introduction of the refractory. Refractory is any material which can withstand high temperature without softening or suffering a deformation in shape. So even by overheating also, these are not becoming soft like plastic. So we have seen the plastics. We know that the plastics are easily melting on heating. But whereas the refractory materials, these are not heating even at the higher temperature also. So refractories are nothing but any material which can withstand at high temperature without softening or suffering a deformation in shape. That means even on overheating, the shape of the refractory material is not changing. The main objective is to confine heat, example to resist loss of heat, to resist abrasive and corrosion action of molten metals, slags and gases at higher temperature without undergoing softening or distortion in shape. So the main object is it can bear overheat and relative abrasion and the corrosion action. That means these are the corrosive resistive and the abrasion resistance, and these are not melting even at the higher temperature. The main uses of the refractories are construction of the lining of the furnaces. So furnaces are nothing but these are the heating materials which are using in the industries. So inside of the furnaces we are using as the lining these refractories, and in the tanks, converters, kilns, crucibles, ladles, etc. So these are the uses of the refractories, and also in the manufacturing of metals and cement, glass, ceramic, paper, steel, etc. So the refractory materials are using in the especially furnaces, kilns, crucibles, ladles, and in the metals in cement, glass, ceramic, paper and the steel. So these are the main uses of the refractories. So let us see what are the characteristics of the refractories. A good refractory possesses the following characteristics. Be infusible at the temperature to which it is liable to be exposed. That means whatever the temperature, these are not fusible, these are not becoming soft at the temperature wherever we are exposing, and these are chemically inert towards corrosive action of gases, metallic liquids and the slags. That means these are not reacting with any chemicals. That means this is chemically inert and resist the abrasive action of flue gases and the flames, etc. Be able to withstand the overlying load of structures at the operating temperature. That means it can bear even overload also at higher temperature or operating temperature. No crack, no loss in size, and expand and contract uniformly with temperature rise and fall respectively. Yes, so whether the expansion or the contraction, these are uniformly by increasing the temperature or decreasing the temperature. Yes, so those are the characteristics of the refractories. So now let us see the classification of refractories. This classification is important for the 2 marks question. But now we know what is meant by the refractories. Refractories are nothing but any material which can with high temperature, withstand high temperature, is called the refractories. So these refractories are three types. One is called the acid refractories, basic refractories, and the neutral refractories. So acid refractories means which are made of the acid, basic refractories are made of our bases, neutral refractories are made of the neutral. So here acid refractories are the important member of this group is alumina, silica gel, fire clay refractories. So these are the examples of the acid refractories, but simply acid refractories are nothing but the refractories which are made of the acid. So what are the examples of acid refractories? Alumina, silica gel, fire clay. And the basic refractories are the refractories which are made of the base. That is mean by the basic refractories, examples of calcium oxide and the magnesium oxide. Neutral refractories are made of the neutral medium or neutral solution or the neutral chemical. And these made from weakly acid or base material like chromite or zirconia. So by mixing weak acid and the bases, we will get the neutral solutions, and either by using weak acids or the basic materials, we can prepare the neutral refractories. So majorly we are using the chromite and the zirconia to prepare the neutral refractories. Important members of this group are graphite, chromite, zirconia, carborundum refractories. So these are the examples of the acid, basic and the neutral refractories. This is very important for the two types of two marks of question. So types of refractories and the examples. So this is very important now. Properties of refractories. So there are various properties of refractories. Let us see what are the properties. One is refractoriness, strength or refractoriness under load, dimensional stability, chemical inertness, thermal expansion, thermal conductivity, porosity, thermal spalling, resistance to abrasion or corrosion, electrical conductivity, heat capacity, texture and permeability. So these are the properties of the refractories. So let us see one by one. The first one is the refractoriness. So refractoriness is nothing but it is the ability of a material to withstand the heat without appreciable deformation or softening under particular service condition. So you know what is meant by the refractories. What is meant by the refractory? Any material which withstand at high temperature is called the refractories. So refractoriness is nothing but it is a property of the refractory. It is the ability of the refractories. So ability of material to withstand the heat without appreciable deformation or softening under particular service conditions. So at the operating conditions, at the operating temperature, these are not becoming soft and these are not changing its shape. That ability is called the refractoriness. That property of the refractory is called the refractoriness. In general, measured as the softening or melting temperature of the material. As most of the common refractory materials are mixture of metallic oxides, so they do not have a sharp fusion temperature. So how the refractories are preparing? So generally refractories are preparing by mixing the metal oxides. So due to that reason, these are not fusing, these are not melting at the operating temperature. So that is refractoriness. So simply refractoriness is nothing but it is the ability of the refractories or the property of the refractories or the characteristic of the refractories is called the refractoriness. And the next property is refractories under load or strength. Strength is also called as the refractoriness under load. It is also very important for the 2 marks question. Explain refractory under load. Refractories are used in the industrial furnaces, have invariably to withstand varying loads of the products being manufactured at higher operating temperature. So especially where we are using the refractories, especially using in the furnaces and having invariably to withstand very loads of the products. So already I explained what are the characteristics of the refractories. So it can bear overload and it can bear even higher temperature also. So it is therefore essential that refractory materials must also possess high mechanical strength. So to bear more load, it must have the more mechanical strength, even at operating temperature, to bear the maximum possible load without breaking. That means whatever the load we are applying, that load must be bared by the refractory material. That means it must have the higher mechanical strength even at the operating temperature. So some refractories like fire clay, high alumina bricks softens gradually over the range of temperature. But under appreciable load, they collapse far below their true fusion point as determined by Segar cones. So some of the refractories, what happens? Some of the refractories are becoming soft before the temperature only, before the operating temperature only, these are becoming soft. So we need to increase the mechanical strength of the refractories to bear the more load and higher temperature. So on the other hand, other refractories such as silica bricks soften over a relatively narrow range of temperature and exerts good load bearing characteristic close to their fusion points. So now let us see what is refractories under load. So we know what happens in some of the refractories. These are not bearing the load and these are becoming soft at one of the temperature, at the operating temperature. So we need to increase the mechanical strength, or else we need to check where the deformation is taking place. At what temperature, at what load the particular refractory is becoming soft and it is deforming its shape. Yes. So in refractories under load, RUL test is performed by applying a constant load of 3.5 or 1.75 kg per centimeter square to the refractory specimen. So what we are doing to know where it is melting or where it is deforming its shape, what we are doing, we are applying a constant load on the refractory material. So what is the constant load here? 3.5 to or 1.75 kg per centimeter square pressure or load, and heating in a carbon resistance furnaces at a standard rate of 10 degrees centigrade per minute. So we are maintaining a constant temperature. What is the temperature range? Per minute we are maintaining the 10 degrees centigrade temperature and we are heating the specimen in the carbon resistance furnaces. So we are maintaining a constant load and the constant temperature. The record of the height of the specimen versus temperature is made by a plot until the test piece deforms or collapses by 10%. So, till we are doing this experiment, till the metal refractory becomes soft or deforms its shape. The RUL is expressed as the temperature at which 10% deformation takes place. So, what is the definition of RUL? At the temperature at which 10% deformation takes place is called the refractories under load. And the next property is dimensional stability. A resistance of a material to any volume changes which may occur on its exposure to higher temperature over a prolonged time. These dimensional changes may be permanent or reversible. So what is dimensional stability here? Resistance of a material to any volume changes which may occur on its exposure to higher temperature over a prolonged time. This dimensional changes may be permanent or the reversible. And irreversible changes may result either in the contraction or expansion of a refractory. So in the irreversible changes, that means if the reaction is a single direction reaction, what happens here? The refractory material is either expanding or contracting. So the permanent contraction is due to the formation of increasing amounts of liquids from the low fusible constituents of the refractory bit. So when it is subjected to a long period of soaking at the higher temperature. So when it is happening, when we are soaking for a long time, so the liquid gradually fills the pores of the refractory body, causing a high degree of vitrification and shrinkage. That means either it is expanding or it is compressing. So why? Because of going the liquid inside of the pores. And the next one is the chemical inertness. A refractory should be selected that is chemically inert in use and does not form fusible products with slags, fuel, ashes, furnace gases, etc. So, usually the environment is most furnaces are either acidic or basic. So, it is not recommended to employ acid refractories contract with an alkaline product or vice versa. So, how we are selecting the refractory material? A refractory should be selected that it is chemically inert in use and does not form fusible products with slags. That means whatever the refractory material we are using, that refractory material should not react with our the product. That means our slag or the fuel ashes, it should not react. That means the refractory material must be inert. Inert is nothing but it should not react with our material. That is chemical inertness. Next, thermal expansion. Solid materials on heating expands and on cooling it contracts. That we have seen now. So, in the designing of the practical furnaces, a refractory material should have least possible thermal expansion as the expansion affects all dimensions of the body. So, it should not expand much. That means it must be having the constant thermal expansion. So, like that we have to design the refractory materials. So, that is thermal expansion. Next, thermal conductivity. In industrial operation, refractory materials of both high thermal conductivity and low thermal conductivity are required depending upon the type of furnaces. So, either we are using the high or the low thermal conductivity depends on the furnaces. In most of the cases, furnaces is lined with refractories of low heat conductivity to reduce the heat losses to the outside by the radiation. Otherwise, maintenance of high temperature inside furnace will become difficult. So, a good heat conductivity of the refractory material is desirable for effective heat transmission in furnace construction. So, how the material should be? The material should be a good heat conductivity. So, it must be the good electrical conductor. Then only the heat can be passed or transmits to the furnace very easily. So, the densest and least porous brick have the highest thermal conductivity owing to the absence of air voids. So, on the other hand, in porous bricks, the entrapped air in the pores acts as a non-heat conducting material. So, how the refractory material should be, how the brick should be, it should not have any pores because in the pores the air will be struck. So, air is a bad conductor. So, the brick should be free from the pores. So, like that we have to make the refractory materials. And next one is the porosity. All refractories contains pores either due to manufacturing methods or deliberate mode. So, in the manufacturing process, every refractory material is having at least some pores. Porosity is nothing but it is the ratio of its pores volume to the bulk volume. Pore volume to the bulk volume. So, now we have seen the bricks are having the small pores. The pores volume is less but the bulk volume is nothing but the brick volume is more. So, here what is the porosity? Porosity is nothing but the pore volume divided by the bulk volume into 100. That is porosity. But we know that the good refractory material must be having the low porosity. If the porosity is less, the refractory material is very strong. But if the porosity is more, the refractory material strength is very less. So, porosity is an important property of refractory bricks because it affects many other characteristics. Example, chemical stability, strength, abrasion resistance and the thermal conductivity. And the next one is the thermal spalling. Thermal spalling is nothing but the peeling of the external layer. is called the thermal spalling. So the thermal spalling should be very less for the good refractory material. So breaking, cracking or peeling off or fracturing of a refractory brick or block under high temperature. So either breaking of the refractory or cracking or peeling off the refractory material is called the thermal spalling. So good refractory must show a good resistance to thermal spalling. That means the thermal spalling should be less and the good refractory material must be highly resistant to the thermal spalling. Spalling is caused by the rapid changes in the temperature. So when we are changing the temperature rapidly, so continuously if you are changing the temperature, what is happening? Here there may be cracks are forming or maybe the peeling off takes place in the refractory material. So which causes uneven expansion and the contraction within the mass of the refractory, thereby leading to development of internal stresses and the strains. Yes, so this is thermal spalling. Spalling may also be due to slag penetration into the refractory brick, thereby causing variation in the coefficient of the expansion. So maybe due to penetration of the slag also the thermal spalling is causes. But how can we minimize the thermal spalling? Thermal spalling especially can be decreased by using high porosity, low coefficient of expansion and good thermal conductivity refractory bricks, avoiding sudden temperature changes, by overfiring the refractories at high temperature for a sufficiently long time, whereby mineral inversion etc. takes place by making the material less susceptible to uneven expansion or contraction when heated. And the next one is the resistance to abrasion or the erosion. Good refractory must show a good resistance to the abrasion or the erosion. Electrical conductivity. A good refractory must show a low electrical conductivity except graphite. All other refractories are poor conductors of electricity. So how the electrical conductivity should be for the good refractory material? For the good refractory material, the electrical conductivity must be low. And the next one, heat capacity. Heat capacity of any substance depends on the thermal conductivity, specific heat and the specific gravity. And the last one is the texture. Coarse or light textured bricks, because of their large porosity, are light in weight and hence they are more resistant to sudden changes in temperature. So however their crushing strength is low, such bricks are more susceptible to the action of abrasion and the corrosion. So when the lightweight bricks, when you have taken the lightweight bricks, the lightweight bricks are having the more number of pores because of the lightweight. So it is a bad conductor of electricity. It is a bad conductor and it is a poor conductor of electricity. So it is highly resistant to the conductivity. So however their crushing strength is low. So such bricks are more susceptible to the action of abrasion or corrosion. And one more is there, sorry, permeability, measure of rate of diffusion of gases, liquids and molten solids through a refractory. So what is permeability? Measure of rate of diffusion of gases or liquids and the molten solids through a refractory. That measurement is called the permeability. Permeability depends upon the size and number of connected pores. So permeability and temperature is directly proportional to, inversely proportional to viscosity of molten material. So remaining we will see in the next class. In the next class we will see the manufacture of refractories and the glass. Thank you so much.